had to say about your comments. You've also been criticized by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and the head of the DNC, Jamie Harrison, both of them black. One of them black from Brooklyn, like you were born in Brooklyn, I was born in Brooklyn. What's your response?
My response is that it's very interesting how people can just lie and mischaracterize what I said. The video's on my social media. Go to @Byron Donald. You can listen to it in full. I never said or insinuated anything about Jim Crow being better. Just was talking about the marriage rates of black families in America during that time period. It's an empirical fact.
You mentioned Jim Crow. Wait a minute. I've watched your video. You mentioned Jim Crow 4 times. One time you referred to families. All families did less. They had higher divorce rates in the 60s and 70s as the nation opened up. This wasn't because of Jim Crow kept blacks scared. Blacks couldn't vote. Those families couldn't go downtown. I mean, to in any way infer that the families, black families, were better than Jim Crow. I mean, I've said things that I've later said I shouldn't have said it that way.
I've never said that.
Can't you own that even sanitizing Jim Crow, even if that wasn't your intention, was to say, that's my intention, I'm sorry for using those words?
Well, first of all, I never sanitized Jim Crow. I was just talking about the era in which black marriage rates were higher than they were during the Great Society and every other point in American history.
But why did you say Jim Crow?
Because that's the period of time, Reverend.
The period of time was the 50s, if you wanted to say the 50s.
That's when it happened.
You said...
Damn, Sharpton. Stop being a race baiter. I'm so sick and tired of you and people like you. Lord help me, he got the title of Reverend. I can't stand this, y'all. The clefty lefties always argue, always trying to make something be about race. They are, in fact, those clefty lefties, the demon rats. They are, in fact, the racists every single time. Well, why did you say that? Well, why did you say that? Well, why did Jim Crow Joe say if you don't vote for him, you ain't black? Why did he say that? Huh? Why did he author those crime bills that mass incarcerated a bunch of black men from the 80s and the 90s, those crime bills? Remember those crime bills? Why was Jim Crow Joe mentored by Robert C. Byrd, a former Klansman? Why is that? I don't see y'all getting Jim Crow Joe on your show saying, well, why did you say that? What did you mean by that? Y'all are a trip on the left. Y'all a mess. You a straight mess. Hey everyone, it's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining my channel today. So today you see I have Reverend Al Sharpton and Congressman Byron Donalds out of Florida arguing about what he said in Philadelphia when he made a comment about black marriage from back in the day. Before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Now let's get into it.
That's when it happened. Because that was the era in which marriage rates were higher. Look, you had Joe Biden a couple of years ago talking about Jim Crow 2.0, talking about Georgia's law, and he lied. He lied then. So are we not allowed to talk about that era, or only are we allowed to talk about it when we do want to recall all the history of Jim Crow and all the tragedies that occurred during Jim Crow?
If we're going to talk about the era, Congressman, and you name a race-based law, then you cannot take race out of the fact Jim Crow was a law against black people. You weren't just talking about the era of Dwight Eisenhower and Harry Truman. You named Jim Crow. There's only one way you could deal with Jim Crow, and that's by race. I mean, look, look, you and I have mutual friends. People say you're a straight shooter. Yes. We may disagree on politics. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. But look, you were born in Brooklyn, you went down into the South, went to Florida State, you have an interracial marriage, you're the congressman of a district that's not a black district. I mean, how can you even live with yourself acting like Jim Crow was a good era or better era for blacks? What happened?
He didn't say, he kept saying, he didn't say it was a better era for blacks. He was simply saying that was when he was using it as a historical reference, saying that black marriages were better off. He was appealing to black voters because black voters have a tendency to vote Democrat, which we should not do. And that is just a fact. If you are so pro-Black, you need to vote Republican. If you care about Black people and getting better schools and education for your children, safer streets and illegal immigrants from taking your jobs and from making it more difficult for you to live in a safe neighborhood, you need to vote Republican, because Democrats are for all those horrible policies. Never vote blue no matter who. Don't do that. I mean, that is ridiculous. And see how he is making this about race and brought up his interracial marriage. You know what? I'm gonna grind and grit my teeth through the rest of this video. But I'm mad at Al Sharpton right now.
Okay, that's real cute. That's real cute. I did not say that, and I'm not going to sit here and have to insinuate that against me, because right now you're lying about what I said. I did say Jim Crow. I did reference it 3 times. That's not to say that it was better. I never said that. Those words never came out of my mouth. When are you going to get that through your skull and everybody else's skull? I never said that. And the difference between me and a lot of other Republicans, I'm not going to sit
what you
here.
said. You said it was better for us
I'm not going to let you
under Jim Crow to bring families together. Did you say that?
Hakeem Jeffries was lying. The Biden campaign was lying.
All right.
Go look at my words.
Well,
go look at my words.
Right. People can look at your words. Did I say Jim Crow was better? No, I did not.
You said I did not say Jim Crow was better. I never said it was good. I did not have the.
You know what, Al? Hush. You don't have any questions. Al Sharpton actually has no questions. He keeps saying, but you said Jim Crow, Jim Crow, Jim Crow, Jim Crow. Your brain stuck on Jim Crow because you the racist. Al Sharpton. If you so sharp, be sharp and recognize that the man didn't say that. That is some sugar honey iced tea. That's what it is. You know, I try very hard to be Christian. Lord, but I get so upset at these people. You know what? If I was Byron Donalds, I wouldn't even come on that show. I would have a prerequisite that you make sure you do not interrupt me when I am speaking. We gonna sign a contract. Don't interrupt me when I'm talking. And don't keep asking the same question over and over again. Demon rats.
Nostalgia. I never said any of those things. I was talking about Black families and Black family marriage rates during that time.
Okay.
And
all right, then what did Jim Crow do to contribute to Black families? Hello?
I'm not talking. Oh my gosh!
You said that you said under Jim Crow, Black families. So explain to me what Jim Crow did to help Black families.
The marriage rates during the Jim Crow era were higher for Black families up until the point of the Great Society. I did not say that. I said they were, and this is the problem, because you're trying to say that I said because of Jim Crow marriages were at a higher rate. I did not say that. I said during. I said during.
But why
I guess
did
we
you
can't refer to
use
time periods then, Reverend. That don't make no sense.
Well, first of all, under Great Society did programs like manpower training, model cities, train young people. HEW didn't do anything about families. It's health, education, welfare. So, I mean, what are you talking about? They were not the antithesis to marriage. I mean, Congressman, all right, let's go to this. Donald Trump suggested twice just this week that he might seek retribution against political enemies if he's elected president. He also tried to link his legal problems to the injustices African Americans have suffered at the hand of our legal system. Why should Black Americans believe that Trump is serious about criminal justice reform when he only seems concerned about it when it applied to him? You know the record. You're from Brooklyn, what he did around the Central Park case. You know the record that he was president when George Floyd was killed by police. He said nothing, had protesters move from in front of a church, made a speech denouncing the protesters. He has no problem talking about locking up his political opponents or homeless or asylum seekers, but he now wants to act like he's a victim of something. What is your response to that, Congressman?
Well, first of all, during the Trump presidency, he also signed into law reforms to criminal justice reform, the first step back, which actually helped get a lot of people released who were imprisoned under the '94 crime bill that was authored by Joe Biden, one of the worst pieces of crime legislation that's really impacted a lot of people in the Black community.
You and I agree on the '94 crime bill. I marched on it, and Joe Biden has said that it went too far. But Donald Trump has not dealt with his own record of discrimination. If you're talking about the two candidates, Donald Trump unlike Biden, who talked about how the crime bill did go too far, Donald Trump has not dealt with his discrimination, that he was sued by the Justice Department in housing, what he did with Central Park 5, what he's done in various race cases, and explained as president what he did with George Floyd. You were in Congress.
What did he do with George Floyd? He didn't do anything with George Floyd. What are you talking
exactly
about?
Right.
What did he do against it? He did not do anything. The only thing he said is that riots in America do need to stop. Well, first of all, let's talk about that legislation, because there were actually
policing bill that
there were two bills that were going through.
They never let Byron Donald stop going on these shows. Because Abby Phillips and Sharpton right here get on my last nerves. They never want someone to talk. This man has answered the same question on various shows over and over again. He was using Jim Crow as a historical reference. Nothing more, nothing less. They are going to inject their race baiting into it. And the only thing Reverend Sharpton has said is over and over, why did you say Jim Crow? And he answered it. Then he said, but you said this many times. And he kept going with the same question he's already answered. Didn't y'all watch the other shows? Oh, Lord, have mercy, Jesus, help us all. Y'all on the left. Y'all some clefted leftists. You're stuck on race. Y'all some clefted leftists. Y'all a mess. You are a mess.
Congress at the time. The bill that could have went through and passed was the one by Senator Tim Scott. And the only difference between that bill and the bill that was being moved by my Democrat colleagues is because my Democrat colleagues wanted to get rid of qualified immunity. Right. That was the only difference in the bill. Local law enforcement universally said, if you get rid of qualified immunity, you're going to have less officers on the streets. And so the Democrats did not want that bill to go forward. I believe Nancy Pelosi was speaker at the time, and that's why that bill could not get through the House.
They did not vote for the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. And did you vote for it, you in Congress?
I wasn't in Congress at the time when that occurred, but I will tell you that the reason I was not in Congress, I got in 2020.
Did you? No,
because that bill would have gotten rid of qualified immunity. And getting rid of qualified immunity would have meant less officers on the street, which is bad for public safety.
So the only way you would have supported a bill to hold police accountable is if police would not be individually accountable? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because if you most police officers make $60,000 to $70,000 a year. If they are not individually liable in civil court, how many people are going to sign up to be police officers? With all the millions of encounters they go through every single year, people aren't going to do that. That's not my words. That's the words of officers I talk to.
Maybe if they knew they were liable, they would behave differently.
The vast majority of officers do not do that. The vast majority of officers are good public servants. They serve our communities every single day. You know this, Al. Come on now.
The majority of people, congressmen, don't commit crimes, but that doesn't mean we don't need laws. Let me go to this one.
But qualified immunity is a bad solution. It would have not been good. It would have not been good.
And Donald Trump opposed it and did not come with any police reform at all. Marjorie Taylor Greene, let's go to her.
Tim Scott had a bill that
what police reform bill
had a bill that Donald Trump supported.
What
go back
was
to the
police
Tim Scott bill, which was moving through the Senate. Nancy Pelosi wouldn't hear it in the House.
What was the police reform bill that happened during George Floyd that Donald Trump, as president of the United States, when George Floyd was killed, what did he support for police reform? Donald Trump.
At the time, Donald Trump was supporting the Tim Scott measure that could not get a hearing in the House because Nancy Pelosi wouldn't allow it. You can have Senator Scott on. He'll tell you about it. I'm quite sure he will.
I met with Senator Scott. And what I'm saying to you is, did Donald Trump then say, we'll do this about police reform? This is wrong what happened to George Floyd?
Nancy Pelosi would not let it through the House. She was speaker. You should ask Nancy why she didn't put it on the floor.
No, I'm asking you then, what was the Republican bill around reform? A man was killed. He was president.
It was the Tim Scott. I just told you the bill. It's the Tim Scott bill. And
when Donald Trump went in front of that church and stood up there with the Bible, he did not tout any reform bill at all. End of story. And you and I both know that.
I'm sorry. So the only bills that matter, only bills that matter are the ones that actually have a name that a president cites, not the actual legislation that's moving through Congress.
He could have named the bill. He was president of the United States. You already know
that's a ridiculous standard.
Well, then why didn't
that's a ridiculous standard.
If Tim Scott's was the bill, then why didn't the president come out and call on the Congress and the country to rally around that bill? He said nothing. You know it, and I know it.
First of all, I don't know. Donald Trump talks a lot. You should ask him that question. I will tell you that Nancy Pelosi did not let that bill come up in the House. She was speaker. Ask her.
Lord, those demon rats. Wow. Al Sharpton, you should be ashamed of yourself. The man answered your question repeatedly. He said, just keep asking the question over and over again. It's not going to change your answer. He said, I already answered your question. He didn't have anything to say. MSNBC, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. That's trash. Let somebody answer the question. Let someone talk. Stop repeating the same racist talking points that you want to push off on Republicans. Just because someone is a Republican, you want to push racism off on them and make them a racist when you need to look in the mirror because you are the racist. That's you. Y'all, I'm hyped up now. I'm ready to go. Anybody got any comments for me in the section? Because I'm ready to go. You know I get hyped. But you all please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell. Make sure that notification works because some of you have complained that sometimes they don't work. Please share my videos. I am on my way to 40,000 subscribers by the end of this month. I so appreciate you. I so appreciate you so much. Well, you all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.